Hey, peace world. Had to jump in here really quickly. Hey, before I talk about this subject, definitely want to invite you to check me out over on It's Always Personal. My podcast you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, probably wherever else you would go to stream podcasts and whatnot. I'll talk about a lot of this stuff a lot more in depth over there. If you like any of the stuff that I'm talking about here, is definitely kicked up over on the It's Always Personal podcast. And really, this last episode that I put out there, I'm just really proud of the content and the thought into it and the discussions that I had by myself. Anyway, right now, for all of us that do vlog or have whatever is considered a podcast here on YouTube, just in talking sports, probably sports specifically, it's like right now, just to actually discuss your sport, just to discuss your subject and your topic, and to just say what happened is now being twisted into defining how where you stand on a lot of different issues in life, or maybe kind of what your personal politics are. It's being misconstrued that way. And, an individual like Shaqiri Richardson, who came back to the track, who returned to her sport this past weekend, and just thinking of speaking on that the results of that race out at the Prefontaine Classic, where she came in ninth out of 9 places in the 100-meter dash. Just to even discuss it could take you down a rabbit hole that you didn't even intend to be, that you weren't even trying to go down. And I'm not going to get all into what I saw take place on Twitter yesterday or in the last 48 hours, but it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Between Fox Sports analysts Marcellus Wiley, Emmanuel Acho, against Ryan Clark and one other brother. I can't think of the other cat. But just because Emmanuel Acho went to give some thoughts on Shaqiri Richardson's poor performance, her poor showing, which it was. I mean, if you come in 9th out of 9 places, there's no. I saw one article that said she won 9th place. How do you win 9th place? That was weird to me. But just because Emmanuel Acho went to say some things about Shaqiri Richardson, Ryan Clark and the other cat from ESPN came out in defense of Richardson and started talking about Emmanuel Acho on a personal level and making some strong assertions about what he's about. And I'm like, well, he had to talk about the outcome of the race. I mean, we were supposed to ignore the fact that she came in last. I mean, you were supposed to just gloss that over or whatever. I just don't get it. And this is why I don't really fool with boxing too much right now, because just to talk about what is happening inside the ring. What's up, Latours? Just to talk about what's happening inside the ring or inside the lines, the white lines, the black lines, whatever they may be. Some people are using that to call your character into question. And it's like, nah, dude got knocked out. Like, I'm not. So anyway, the other thing that kind of, speaking of Shaqiri Richardson, my dude, Michael Smith. I'm a huge Michael Smith fan. Former ESPN personality, once hosted ESPN, the 6 o'clock ESPN, or the 6 as they call it. I rock with Mike. But right now on his Instagram page for his podcast with Michael Holly, they had a debate, I guess, yesterday about Michael Smith said that he was inspired by Shaqiri Richardson and what she said at the end of her race Sunday or Saturday, whatever day it was. And I'm how are you inspired by anything that you saw from Shaqiri Richardson over the weekend? I mean, she got her doors blown off. Right now, if you've been following the track scene, you understand what she's up against in the Jamaican trio. I think, what is it, Sharika Jackson, Elaine Harrod Thompson, and Shelley-Ann frayser-price. They're red hot right now. So to me, it's no shame that she got beat. But in the aftermath of that loss, it was almost like Adrian Broner after Manny Pacquiao. Y'all can talk all this shit about me. He's a devout. I'm gonna let you say that, man. I'm gonna let you get that off the tour. I didn't know. I didn't understand he was on that team, but I guess so. But to sit there and get mad at the dude, again, I'm not inspired by that. I'm not gonna sit here and pat somebody on the back for doing more after the contest was over, for doing more after the final bell rung, for doing more after the game was over, for doing more after it was all zeros on the time clock. I'm turning the channel by then. It's nothing for me to watch. You know, Shaqiri came out here after her suspension. She had to continue talking. She said, tune in, or they got to come see me in the future, or y'all going to hear from me in the future. She did the same thing Simone Biles said, tune in for the Olympics. I'm getting ready to do some stuff that's never been seen at the Olympics before. I never seen Kev. I think you meant Devers, unless you was making a pun. Yeah, like you never saw these people come in last. But it was the same situation with Simone Biles. She told me what she was going to do. I'm like, damn, let me mark that down on my calendar. I got to see it. I want to see it. I'm going to be there. And then you show up, the shit goes sideways, and now I'm the bad guy because I'm simply asking the question like, well, what happened? What happened? I mean, what's going on here? You can't even say that, or you're hating on the person. No, I'm not hating on the person. I'm just trying to understand what the hell happened. And so, yeah, that was the debate on the brother from another podcast. Michael Smith was inspired by what he saw. You know, one thing that I saw on Pardon the Interruption yesterday was a good point. And it made me think back to Michael Jordan. You know, after his father passed away, Mike went and took, 16 months off? Went and played baseball. He went and did something else. It's a lot of conspiracies about that whole, that time period right there. But he left the game. You know, here's Richardson right now after her mother passed away, back in April or something, or June? Then she had a suspension. I don't know what she went and did. You know, while the Olympics were going on, and why, you know, the couple of weeks before the Olympics after the U.S. trials, we don't know what Richardson was doing. All we were told was the hot phrase right now, mental health. That's all we mask everything and cover up everything that's ugly or we don't approve of or we can't accept. We just throw it under mental health. When do we hear about anybody doing anything about their mental health in the situations where they can do something? When does anybody go put in any work on their mental health after it's surfaced as a major problem from them? So she comes back to this past weekend's race and she gets humiliated basically. And I mean, like I said, now that's another thing. That takes me to another point. She's 21 years old. She kind of arrived on the scene pretty quickly. She put in the work to do what she did at the U.S. trials. She became an instant star. And then, you know, the suspension happened. Her mother passed away. I get all of that. She's a 21-year-old navigating a whole bunch of new stuff. I completely get that. Conversely, if we look at the trio for Jamaica, Shelley-ann Frayser-Price was like 34 years old, married, one child. I think she used to be called a pocket rocket. After her son, I think her son is 2 years old. She's kind of rebranded herself as the mommy rocket. She seems to be a very spiritual person. She's a very mature lady. She's an adult. Elaine Thompson Hurrah. She's also married. She's 29. I don't know much about her personally. I know she's about her business. I know she's running her ass off right now. But those are two very professional athletes. I don't know what Shaqiri Richardson is out here doing in her personal life or whatever. We saw she popped up in some new commercials during the Olympics. I don't know if she was focusing on what her and her coach were doing, how she was getting ready for this showdown that we were supposed to see this past weekend. But I'm just saying, it's a learning experience. You can sit here and see. Now you see how you match up when you actually got to get in the starting blocks against those women. You see what you got to do. So for me, I'm not going to lose a lot of time. I'm not out here. I saw some interesting posts on Instagram defending her and we still love you. Can't nobody touch you. Keep doing what you're doing. Black don't crack. Black queen, sister. I saw all of that stuff. Whatever. I think a great rivalry is brewing. Maybe. I mean, if she can get back onto her game. And the one thing that I pointed out on this week's It's Always Personal, she did run, and she told us all after her embarrassing loss, she ran a 10.58, I think, which is the sixth fastest time ever. She ran a 10.86, I think. Elaine Thompson Hurrah just ran a 10.54. And this particular race, Richardson ran an 11.55. So she has been, in that 10.6, 7, 8 area, whatever. She has done that. So I'm assuming at some point she can get back to that. And, we'll see what happens as they both progress into the future and if they end up racing each other more. But this whole situation this past weekend, I just don't understand why everything has to be so polarizing right now. When I'm talking about sports, I'm strictly talking about preparation. I'm talking about what happened when the bell rang, when the clock started, when the tip ball happened, everything that happened before the final whistle. And then I'm talking about stats. I'm talking about points. I'm talking about the results. That's pretty much all I care about. The rest of that shit, I don't need. I said this before. I said this 2 or 3 years ago with Deontay Wilder. I don't need Deontay Wilder to be my savior and to be my the avatar for me as a black man in America. I don't need him out here taking up the cause for anything. Just fight, bruh. Just fight and win, or fight and give your best. I don't know why everybody needs somebody to be somebody for them. If I bought a ticket, just do your damn job. I don't care about all this other bullshit. But anyway, I hate to see it. I actually hate to see what took place between Emmanuel Acho, Marcellus Wiley, and Ryan Clark. I cannot think of who the other dude was. I don't think it was Dominic Foxworth. I know it wasn't Bo Monty, but yeah, I'm just like, can we just keep it to the sports and keep this shit apples to apples, oranges to oranges? I shouldn't. If I tell you what the end of the game was, that's not indicative of what my political or my personal politics are. I'm just talking about the sport. So anyway, you got to get out here and do what you got to do. You got to ignore the idiots and the assholes and the people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. But it's just, it's crazy out here right now. So anyway, that's it. That was my afternoon wood for the day. Shaqiri Richardson, Um, it was, it was a massacre out there. I mean, it was ugly. Another thing, lastly, that killed me, and I didn't watch the video of the brother from another, but I didn't hear anybody say anything about her withdrawing from the 200 meters dash. And I don't understand how we celebrate somebody who quit. I mean, that's quitting. I don't give a damn what she told my man in the interview, and y'all can talk shit about me, and I ain't going nowhere, and I'm gonna be here, and yada yada. Well, what's up with the next race? I mean, you getting your bag and shit. What's up with the next race? So I don't know how people overlook what the shit that doesn't fit their story. But I didn't see nothing inspiring over the weekend. I see some stuff that I understand why things happen. I mean, shit, the girls from Jamaica, they hot right now. And they're running against one another, and so they know how committed, how dedicated, and how hard they have to work right now, just with their rivalry amongst the three of them. So that's why we see them performing at the level that they're performing at. That's why Elaine Thompson-Herrera look like a damn cheetah out there, because she knows she has Shelley-Ann Frayser-Price on her heels. Shelley-Ann knows she has Shaqiri Jackson on her heels. And then, Frayser-Price knows she's 34 years old, and it could be, it could be almost time's up for her. What time is it? Oh, I gotta go. Lastly for Shaqiri Richardson. Why don't you go talk to Sonya Richards Ross? Why don't you go talk to Shelley Frayser-Price or Thompson-Herrera or Carl Lewis, Michael Johnson or Justin Gatlin? Like, why don't you go talk to some other people and help and allow some other information to help you figure this stuff out? Good story is you guys. Who was that? What sport he play? Or what race does he run? Who is you guys? I don't know. I'm not familiar with that name. I'm just playing, man. I'm just playing. They don't like good stories in boxing, man. You can't talk about and nobody interested in good stories in boxing. You just got to talk shit in boxing and mispronounce everybody's name and not know what damn title they hold. That's how you do boxing. I can't do nothing with that. Anyway, but yeah, why doesn't Shaqiri Richardson go out here and let somebody mentor her and help her out? I was just listening to this podcast with Sanaa Lathan, and Sanaa was saying that she's good friends with all of the other black actresses, because they all get rejected all the time and trying to go out for parts and roles in movies and whatnot. And so they all talk with one another and work at that thing together. So for Shaqiri Richardson, I don't know where she fits in with the big scheme of things. Alex and Felix, go talk to her. If you messing this shit up on your own and trying to do things your own way, and you having these missteps and setbacks, go talk to some people who've been there and figure it out and get yourself to have a great career. Anyway, let me get on off here, man. It's the end of my lunch break. Have a phenomenal rest of your day. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Peace.